Hello and good morning, YouTube. My name is Amy's Bro. Let's talk about, we're going to talk about what's become my favorite subject, but we're going to talk about this because, and we're actually talking about a positive light, by the way. I read something on Twitter from a friend of mine, and I think that she's confused as to whether or not there'll be a new season next year, whether or not there'll be a new season at all when it comes to UtaPri. Now, here's the thing about UtaPri that we need to discuss. The anime is not classified as a reverse. Well, I guess it's kind of classified as a reverse harem, but it's technically classified as an idol anime. Idol animes are different than probably say any other anime on the planet because it is more or less determined by its merchandise sales. And when I say merchandise sales, we're talking about DVDs, CDs. We're talking about any of the extra peripheral stuff that they're put out. Be they mugs, be they bookmarks, be they binders, be they folders, be they whatever. The sales determine whether or not they live or die on it, and this is partially because this is a late night series. This is a series which airs at like 1 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning over in Japan, which will equate to about noon to 11 over here. So, the question is this the final season? Or will there be another series? This is all tricky. It's tricky because there's still a lot to do. You figure, right now we have one CD that's currently out, right? Okay, so we have the one CD that's currently out. It's presently in 11th spot, the last I checked. I'll know when I wake up to later today how it does, and that will help me determine what's going to happen. I figure if there's going to be a 5th season, at least, especially since we're just introducing Heavens, and I'm actually going to talk about my 5th season sales pitch in a second, and why I think it would actually work. You would need to see these CDs at least, and this includes Heavens' group single, which will be its first one according to its first one with King Records. You would need the CDs to maybe get into the top 10 at least, and I would hope at least a top 5. Top 10 minimum, because you're on the first page then of the Oricon charts, of the Oricon daily charts. Top 5 would be stellar. But let's assume for a second that they do well enough with that, and also with the DVD sales when they start in January, so that when we get to 6th stage, which I can't believe I'm saying that. That's ridiculous. 6th stage. They're doing their 6th live stage show. Whew, man. Real quick before I get into my sales pitch, could you imagine working as one of the VAs? You started in a 1,500 seat building called Uport Hall, and now you're doing like domes and stadiums that house like 30-some thousand people. Think about that for a second. Uport, for those who don't know, it was about 1,500 seats. And now you're doing 10, 20, 30,000 seat buildings. Jesus Christ. Congratulations. But let's assume, for our discussion, we get a 5th season. They're going to. What would I do for my 5th season? I'm probably going to make some Star Wars fans mad, and it's not even intentional. I'm not trying to. I'm just looking at the way Broccoli and A1 have done these past seasons to try and get into their head what they're going to do with the next season. I keep saying that one of the things they need to do is do a Heaven's solo season with Nanami to get their characters across. I resign myself to the idea that they're not going to do that. But I think I know where they would go, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay? There's only been one solo season in the entire series. One. And that was the first one when they were forming Starish, which was originally a 6-member group. Eventually became 7. That happened in Season 2. In Season 2, they introduced the Quartet Knight, and about halfway through the series, they introduced Heavens as a trio, although at the time they weren't originally called Heavens in Episode 6 when Shining first mentioned them. Okay? You with me so far, right? The season became Starish versus Heavens. But the Quartet Knight took a back seat to it. Remember? In Season 2, I'm jumping ahead, there was the UtaPri Award storyline. Remember that? And if you remember, Starish beats Heavens with the condition that the loser was to disband. But Starish and Shining stopped, overruled the stipulation for disbanding, and thus Heavens didn't have to, and they went back to Raging's agency, and then we would get to 3rd season. In the 3rd season, we don't see or hear from Heavens until the final episode. Now, we meet Heavens around episode 10 or 11 of Season 2. Remember that? So we meet them for about 3 or 4 episodes. We don't learn anything because that wasn't the goal at that point. Okay. But we didn't learn anything about the Quartet Knight either in their first full season. Because here's the thing that we need to understand. The Quartet Knight has technically had, if you really want to break it down, 2 full seasons in the UtaPri anime. 2. They were effectively supporting characters in Season 2. In Season 3, they were the rivals for Starish, which was actually really cool, and as we all know, I am a huge Quartet Knight fan. I became a fan of theirs the minute I heard Poison Kiss the first time. I'm not even gonna lie. And I'm still salty as hell that we have yet to get an actual single of some kind with Poison Kiss on it. God damn it, Broccoli, put that on a CD so people don't have to buy the DVD, which would be like $60 or $80. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, that still pisses me off. Because I wanted to hear that song in Music 2. Or even hell, Music 3. Frick. Anyway. So, in Season 3, they do the whole rivalry thing with Starish versus Quartet Knight. The winner would go and represent Shining at Triple S. Of course, Heavens is in the background, and they pop up in episode 13 and screw the whole thing up. So, if we notice the way things worked, in season 2, okay, hear me out. In season 2, Huen was your supporting role. In season 3, they were rivals, and we got to learn about them. But they weren't really necessary story pieces yet in season 2. Like they were, but they weren't. We were introduced to them, but they didn't do anything with them until the next season. Heavens has a really tricky one, because they've actually been in the anime. They were in the second season towards the end, and then they came in at the end of season 3. If we really want to think about it, this is their first full season. Okay? Which would mean, if you stop and analyze it, because they're getting this season as, and I'm going to quote this, support characters, this means by default we're almost guaranteed to have a 5th season where now they are more the focus. Now, how would you do it? Well, you could follow the same path in many respects as excuse me for a second. You could follow the same path as, say, Starish did, where they are going to be going towards a goal, and the Quartet Knight are their supports. You could do that. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, Josh, to do that, you would need Nanami. Here's what I'm thinking is going to happen. It's almost a gosh darn certainty here. I'm trying not to curse. But it's almost a certainty that this season, okay, there's going to be some type of a merger between the two agencies. It's, put it this way, if they're supposed to be rival groups, okay, at least with Iji and Tokia and maybe, and more than likely, Vaughn and Ren and maybe Kira and Masa, I don't think you're going to be seeing a rivalry in there. I really don't think you're going to be seeing one with Ichi and Ultion. I really don't. So what I think is going to happen is you're going to see some type of funky merger between them, between the two agencies, and now they're going to become one agency. What's it going to be called? No one knows. But they're going to be one agency. They may literally be called SRA, Shining and Raging Agency. I don't know. But they go under one roof. Starish will win Triple S. Okay, this is what I'm thinking. Starish wins Triple S. But Nanami decides, you see that group that was our opponents? That 7-person group? Yeah, I want to see if I can work my magic with them now. I want to see if I can make them as good as Starish. Or maybe something happens where at the very end of the season they introduce a new composer. Maybe there's a cliffhanger. I don't know. I don't think they'll do that because they already said that Nanami has to compose all 3 songs, so she's going to do it. So what I'm thinking is she says, I'm going to take this 7-person group now, and I want to make them as good as Starish, because I want to learn about them now. Now, she won't say this verbatim, but I'm thinking, what if she did say something like this? What if she looked at Heavens and she says, God damn it, okay, you did very good. You pushed Starish to a limit that I didn't think you could. I'm going to take you now, and I want to help you. And because the Quartet Knight will be around, Quartet Knight says, hold on, Nanami. We're with you on this. We'll help you too. Because we tried to help Starish. So let us help you. So they're going to look at them and they're going to go, we're going to work with you now. We're going to try to help you get to the top. Because even though the QN's narrative is that they want to be Starish, technically they've already done that. Their story is technically, if you want to really break it down, over because they've already really won. But maybe they want to see somebody else be just as good as Starish. Maybe they want to see if somebody else can surpass their popularity. So they look at these guys and they go, we're going to help you. We are going to take you under our wing, and we are going to make sure that you become one of the top groups in Japan. And they decide that they're going to help Iji. They're going to help Kira. They're going to help them all. Now, who's paired with who? I think Shion would get Camus. That's a given. Okay? I think, and I don't know, Yamato would be going with Ramar because he's a bit of a hard ass. Again, I don't know. I'd have to work this out as far as if they were going to do, again, the senior-junior arrangements. But I think if they do a 5th season, and I'm almost positive that it's going to happen, they're going to do something with Quartet Knight in Heavens in Season 5, and Starish will take the back seat. Which actually would make sense, and I'll tell you why, real quick. Starish wants to go on tour. So, wouldn't it make sense to have Starish... Wouldn't it make sense to have Starish hit the bricks for a bit and have these other two work together? Because, again, if you really look at the way they're telling the story, Quartet Knights play a background character, and Heavens has played a background character. Starish has yet to do it. And I'm going to say this to people that say they would not watch that season. And I'm not trying to call people out. I'm not trying to take a pot shot at you. But I need you to listen to me. If you say you would not watch that season of UtaPri, are you a UtaPri fan or a Starish fan? And by the way, I paused because I needed you to really understand what I was asking. You need to at some point open your heart to Heavens. Because I had a discussion with somebody once real quick, and we said, well, if you were not a Starish fan, would you sit through the first season to get to heaven. Or not the heavens, but to say QN or heavens. And I said, and my answer to that is, well, I did it. There's people in Stars I like, but I really like Court to Night and I really like Heavens. So yes, I sat through season 1 to get to the groups I really wanted to get to. But, let me ask you, now that we've gone for 20 minutes again, I apologize for this, by the way. I tried to make these videos this goddamn long. But there's so much to think about, and I need you to understand where I'm coming from with things. So, the question is, do you think that there's a possibility for a 5th season, do you think that a season without Starish could fly? I do. Because I personally think that once you tell this season's story, the only thing left to start doing is building up a new group. And Heavens is the perfect group, and the Quartet Night is the perfect group to help them. But do you think that it could fly? And let's say that there was a season where Starish became background characters. Would you watch it? That's just the question. Those are the questions. I need your answers. You all take care of yourself. You all have a splendid Saturday, and I do hope that if you watch this episode of UtaPri today, you are ready to get lost in some labyrinths, because it's the other idol with the good hair. That's a joke for my friend Bitchface Tokia on Twitter. It's the other idol with the good hair, Shion Amakusa, and we're going to and the idol with the muses, Cecil Ajima. Are you ready? Because friends, it's gonna be nuts. You all take care. I will see you in the next video. Until then, my friends, take care.